figure out what kind of train wreck this is going to be.
Jazz.
Big fucking Jim.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, life happens.
Yeah.
Fucking horses and this and that.
Well, you're finally here, so that must mean that you're here to do one thing.
Speak about Warhammer at a wave top level.
There it is. Welcome to the Warhammered Podcast, brought to you by Battle Pub Games and the oh-so-delicious Second Pitch Beer Company.
Second pitch.
Yeah.
We got some fun stuff for us today.
We do, and we're going to get to that in a minute. So, Big Jim, you've been out for a little bit. Were you doing anything, like, fucking cool, or was it just work shit?
We've bought some land, so we're building a house, so we're doing all that shit.
You got a Prego horse, too.
We have a
how's
Prego
the
horse,
horse?
maybe. We still haven't decided if, well, my wife was pregnant at one point, and she's kind of not looking pregnant, so we're trying to figure it out. And she's due. Like, by the end of this week, she's supposed to be due, so we'll see.
He said doo-doo.
Yeah, he said doo-doo, but how does that happen? How do you unpregnate yourself?
Well, she could have lost it while she was
Yeah.
out in the...
Okay.
She's 24, so she's at the end of her...
Yeah, that's a...
Yeah. Well, they live so long, but she's sort of at the end of her... That kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll
Okay.
see.
Well, it's good to have you back.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll be idiots for... There'll be 3 idiots for this show instead of just 2. So, yeah. So we're
Love
up
it.
in the idiot quotient around here.
Yeah.
Fuck yes.
If you throw enough just shitty at it,
It gets better.
something eventually happens.
Yeah.
Right. It's like 100,000 million monkeys.
I think they
Taking
all
on a
they all
million.
pay to fucking have the 3 of us on here.
Do
That's-
they?
Because God knows what the fuck we're gonna say. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what is that? If you had an unlimited amount of
If
monkeys.
you have
with
an infinite amount of
unlimited-
monkeys
With
of
an
writing.
infinite number of typewriters, eventually they'll produce all the works of Shakespeare. or whatever it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Except for
more-
it's only 3 monkeys and no typewriters.
And it's
The more
yes,
monkeys we can get, the better we are.
All right, you apes. What do we got?
So we do discuss nerdy stuff at a very wave top level, as Big Jim so succinctly put it. But the one thing that we do discuss that's accurate around here is booze, specifically during Jim's Beer Corner. There it is.
There it is.
It
Nails it every time.
gets better every week.
Eventually, it'll be freaking electronic, and we won't have to do that.
And it would just be a button. I just need to get one that I put by the microphone here.
Right? Just one of those shitty recorder
Yeah,
things.
just-
Like
It's gotta be
What's that
shitty
one?
though. It can't be good.
what was
No,
that?
yeah.
What was that voice recorder thing from when we were kids that looked like a tape deck but had the
Yeah,
little
that had the
microphone
microphone
stuck
coming out of
and you
it,
could just
yeah.
record stuff on it.
Oh my god, that was the exact one I was thinking of. I was
Yeah.
like, can I still buy that?
Oh, I bet you eBay has one of those.
Yeah.
Like,
for
for like
$1,000,
$1,000
yeah.
for like
I know.
$1 million.
And then you're still gonna have to find tapes. I hate to tell you this, but you can't go down to Radio Shack anymore.
Because there's no fucking
Fuck,
radio
that's
Shack.
true, huh?
Yeah.
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 Or Sears. or
Well, let's
any
talk
other
about
shit.
Burr.
So we're gonna talk about beer. Jim, what do you have for us today?
That's an awfully big
Well,
can of beer, Jim.
We have the crisis.
It's here. The crisis is here. So I'll give a little bit of backstory on this while he's pouring it. I'm not going to talk about what it is. It's just kind of how this came to be. So the crisis
Thanks, buddy.
is an idea.
What the fuck? I don't want to know about good luck.
So here at the store, we really wanted a beer that was for the bar. It was like you could only get it here.
I can smell it.
And I'd been bugging Jim and bugging Jim and bugging Jim. Hey, make us a beer, make us a beer, make us a beer. And he kept going, no. And it started with, no, you're just not big enough for us to justify making you
Sure.
a beer. Which I was like, that's hurtful but fair.
Yeah.
Like it's
I didn't mean it. I meant it in a business sense.
it's
you know.
hurtful but fair.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It was more of like a Mark Cuban.
It's like, I like you, but no.
yeah.
And so I finally wore him down enough where he was like, okay, fine. Like, whatever. We'll do like some sort of small batch beer. And I was like, cool. I want it to be at the limit of where we can legally make it ABV wise, and I want it to taste like Biscoff cookies. And he immediately went, never mind, we're not making you a beer.
You had a shot and you fucked it up.
So
Just immediately you fucked it up.
and actually it started with whatever it is I want to call it, the crisis. And that came
Smells
from
really good.
the first event we ever had here was a beer trivia night.
Yep.
That Second Pitch did a tap takeover for. And we played a game called Beer IQ, and it was literally it was a beer trivia game with these little cards, and it was hilarious because a bunch of the industry people came out, like all these brewers and like owners and stuff from the beer industry came out to it, and these were like really simple beer questions, but you had all these subject matter experts in the field, And so like listening to the conversations that were happening at the tables of like, it can't be that simple. It's got to be something more complicated than that, because in 1793, when the Archbishop of da 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 did this, that, and the other, then that invented this, and it was like, no, dude, it's just Bavaria. Like that's the answer.
And water.
It's fine. And so, but one of them was, why wasn't beer canned until the 40s?
Yeah, it was something like that.
And it was like the shape of the can, aluminum shortage, or the crisis, and that was just the answer.
It just said
just
the
crisis, and it ended up being the shape of the can was the actual like real
reason.
And
stuff. Yeah.
But one of the answers just said the crisis, not the crisis of insert year or whatever, just those two words, the crisis. And so for like 6 months, the answer to that whole group that was there, the answer to every question about why something didn't get done or why something did get done or whatever, it was always just
the crisis.
The crisis.
It was the crisis.
Yeah.
So anyways, I will turn it over to you on how much fun it was to make this beer.
This beer was a pain in the dick to make. It was a lot of fun because I was with friends and that's the way you want to brew, but it was an incredibly hard beer to make. So we made this beer. There was no idea of style. So usually when you create a recipe, you create style first. So you're like, I'm making an amber ale. I'm making a blonde ale.
All the stuff we've talked about so far.
Yeah,
all of
you start that
styles.
idea and then you work your way to a recipe. This had no style other than Jass's
shit show.
Yeah, shit show of an idea of I want to taste like Biscoff cookies and I want it to be so high alcohol that you poop yourself. And we were just like, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is good. I would have this with ice.
I am
knew it.
wrong.
I would drink this bullshit fucking beer.
I knew
but
it.
I don't want to shit myself.
No, you're not going to shit yourself. You'll be fine.
But
no, dude, no.
I was totally fucking wrong.
Yeah, I knew he was going to love this. So anyway, so we did something that's called a double mash. So you basically do a mash and then you take the runnings of that
This isn't
mash.
beer.
It's
What
beer.
is this?
And then you put it back on a new grain to create even more sugars available. And we got to a point where at the end of this thing, we did it and it was hard and it took a long time. But then we're like, all right, let's see what the gravity is.
This is fucking phenomenal.
See? That's what I'm talking about.
It is really good.
Yeah. So we got to a point where we put the hydrometer in there. I'm like, obviously some people know what hydrometers are, and it measures the amount of sugars in the water, in the malt. It maxed out our highest hydrometer.
Oh, you can taste.
We were like, we have no idea.
It didn't
how
even
much
sink.
Alcohol. It didn't sink. It just floated on
So
top.
a
of the
hydrometer, for those of you that don't know, looks like a giant thermometer.
Yeah.
Like a really long, and it's got a bulb on the end of it. And that bulb is supposed to sink, and it will stop at a certain point and kind of tell you roughly what your alcohol content is.
I'm kind of worried about this because it goes down really.
It never sank. Like
it never
you
sank.
stuck it on top,
on.
and it just sat there.
It was so much sugar. And then we tried it, and it tasted like you were drinking like slightly watered down maple syrup.
That's what you're getting.
Yeah. No, it was worse. Like out of the.
No,
tank.
this was like if you have ever changed your own oil, and when you pull that plug, what comes? That's how thick it was when it came out of the tap. Like it was.
I believe it.
Yeah. It was crazy. So then we're fighting it. We're fermenting it. And we didn't know if it was good, bad, or indifferent. And after working with a lot of different yeast labs to actually figure this thing out, because the yeast, there's so much sugar and so much alcohol, the yeast, it killed itself.
Right.
So the yeast was like, fuck this, I'm killing myself while I'm done. And then we had to add other yeast to keep it going. So it maxed out. We had it.
This is the single greatest thing you've ever produced.
Thank you. That actually means something. That's I take that as a huge compliment. Jazz is dying over here,
including your children.
Thank you.
This is the single greatest thing. You've ever
So
produced.
anyway, we went to our lab and they were like, well, like it was mid ferment still, and they were like, it's 14%, and I was like, oh shit, nice, okay,
yeah.
And we still got more to go, and he was like, that's the problem. You can't go above 17 legally, and I was just like, oh shit. So this is now officially 14%. We have a paper that says it is.
Yep, the lab said it's 14%.
That's what it is. It's a middleweight it is a middleweight fighter who cut down to 14% like 2 days before fight day. And now when he gets into the ring, he's not
looking felt.
The ATF or whoever manages this shit. What if your beer is like 19%? Do you have to call it something else?
Yeah, you become what's called fortified wine, and it's a different licensing structure.
Fuck them.
Yeah. So this is 14% if anyone's listening.
So it was.
So we did a bunch of cinnamon. We did a bunch of.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of There's a lot of residual sugars in there,
Smells
so it's real
good,
sweet. A lot of
tastes good.
biscuit flavor into it.
But the herbals and stuff are still coming through,
Yeah.
which is that Biscoff marker.
Mm-hmm.
Because Biscoff cookies, if you've never had them, it's also known as a speculoos cookie. And there's
Yeah.
also a spread that you can go get called cookie butter.
So all the same
That's
thing.
all the kind of the same flavor profile. So you get like some clove, some cinnamon, obviously just a straight sweetness because there's all the sugar in this beer.
Right.
And I know because I'm the one that put all the sugar in the beer when we were making it.
So dumb.
But it hits. It tastes like a Biscoff cookie. Like
That's
it
great.
is. It
Yeah.
is wild. But you can't stylize it. And when you're around other beer people, like I was at your place last night drinking it, and there were guys that like leaning over to me going, "What is it?" And I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I was because I was working the tap room last night, and a lot of times industry people will come in if I'm working, they'll see it, and I like was giving people stuff, and they're just like, "What is this?" And I was like, "I have no fucking idea. It's a beer,
It's beer.
probably.
It is beer.
it's
It
a
is-
beer. We
it
made a
is-
style.
Yeah, some grains were put in water with some hops, and it's alcoholic now. That's beer.
That's beer. That's
And
what we did.
As far
So
as
I'm like
defining
the
it
closest
past
thing that.
that
it could be is like a barley wine. Like that's as close as we
Yeah.
can make it.
It's
but
the
even then,
crisis.
It's the crisis.
and
So good. There's no crisis in this beer. This
but
is
it's
phenomenal.
yeah, it definitely doesn't taste like a crisis.
So if
No.
I'm fucking stuck on a desert island and I can only have bourbon and beer,
Yeah, that's this beer.
This will be beer. This is fucking fine.
Wow, I am very like
Are you
taken
touched?
aback. I'm touched.
We're gonna go put that on your website.
I know, like Big Jim. If I was stuck on a bourbon desert island, I could have one beer.
I'd
This would be
have
beer.
bourbon and the
this beer
crisis.
and the
And the
crisis.
That's it.
I might bathe in the bourbon or the crisis. It's
Yeah.
so good.
It's
I love
Yeah,
it.
this is fun. No, this
anyway,
is great.
it's on draft right now at the second pitch, and it's going to be on draft at Battle Pub
Next
as
week?
soon as next week.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
So
next week.
by
So
the time this show comes out, it should be on.
you'll be able to go to either one of our
Yeah.
establishments
And
and
drink it.
have yourself a crisis.
You can have two.
I will tell you, they come with a limit. You can
Yeah.
only order 2.
Yeah. See,
And they come in
it's-
8 ounces.
It's
It's
the,
not a full 16.
It's the strength.
Yeah.
We did the math because of the ABV level in it. So an 8-ounce pour of it is the equivalent to 2 shots of Jack.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a thing, and it's
a thing.
here.
It's here. We did it.
We did it.
We did it, guys.
It's
Mission accomplished.
in a very George W.
Bush
kind of way.
Mission accomplished.
That didn't go well, so let's hope this goes better.
Yeah.
So it's very, very good. It is also, it's a one-time only thing. This is not.
Oh, I don't
something-
know.
We're not going to keep
Oh,
producing.
I
this.
don't
no,
know.
I will not make this again.
It's a nightmare.
You shoot me in the head if you try that.
This is good.
We're not making this one again.
Yeah, we'll do a different type of crisis.
It's going to have another crisis.
Yeah, we're gonna do a hop crisis and a malt crisis and a
very
water crisis.
This is very sad.
But what's funny is when I was told I wanted to taste like Biscoff cookies, the first thing that, because there's a bunch of breweries out there that do some goofy shit. When they were like, we made a donut beer because we took 17 dozen donuts and threw it in
Threw
the
'em
vat.
into-
And that's what, and so I think his first thought when I said I wanted to taste like Biscoff cookies.
No,
is
no,
that-
you said I want to make a Biscoff cookie beer,
Yeah.
and I was
Which-
just like, no.
No. Because he thought I was just going to show up with like a Sam's Club pallet of Biscoff cookies and just pour this into his system and be like, we'll clean it out later. It'll be
And I
fine.
was just like, no, you're not doing that. But
So-
and then you talked to Paige,
Yeah.
which is my QC manager, and
Yeah, and it was no, I don't want to put cookies in it. Like I want to copy that flavor profile into the beer.
Well, that's good.
It's very, very good.
so
What else we got? I know what we got.
Yeah, now it is time to get into the wave top level stuff, and we're here to discuss
and it's gonna
A
get pretty
niche.
weird. It's gonna get
An
pretty weird
important
if
niche,
we're,
but
if
a
we're
niche.
drinking
a
crisis.
a linchpin in the story, but a
Yeah.
very not an overly covered piece of the
Definitely
Warhammer
not.
story.
And they
but
keep-
super important.
Super important, especially in the heresy level of
Yeah.
of
It's
the
Warhammer.
30K
Pretty much
area.
40K. It's not really. It's not really
And
important.
they've
have a
almost
couple of them
retconned
running
some of
around,
that
but
They have
stuff.
a
not
couple,
near as
but they're
important.
not important.
So, unlike this beer,
yeah.
we're going to talk about people that have been around a very, very long time.
Absolutely.
And those are the Perpetuals. And no, this is not a doo-wop bad from Motown. It is,
Wap-a-da-ba, perpetual.
yeah.
You had me and then you lost me. So, Jazz, what's a
Jazz.
perpetual?
So, okay, how to phrase this right?
Well-
A perpetual is someone that gets continued existence. I don't want to use the word immortal because that's not
in Lexicarium. Because I did my research for this. It says a perpetual is a human that has been either mutation from a mutation.
So there's two types.
Yeah, there's a mutation, like it's like I born that way.
That's a natural born.
Basically, you cannot die until it's extreme circumstances. Is the idea
right? And that's why I'm not saying immortal. Like you're not a
but
god,
you're functionally
but you don't
immortal.
die.
You're functionally immortal, but you can die in like extreme circumstances.
And they all sort of did. The natural born ones all sort of did.
Yeah.
So you've got your natural born ones, and
then
you've
you
got
have
your built.
Yeah, your other ones, others,
Either Xenos built or the Emperor built you.
or Emperor built you. Exactly.
And they do die
Oh, they all do.
in the traditional sense
Yes.
of like they've gone to war,
Yeah,
they got killed,
and then they got better.
and then they got better.
I mean, sometimes they
just
just
kinda
show
get
up
back up.
centuries
Yeah.
or minutes later, depending on.
And
if
a lot
you're
of times they
Primarch
use
or-
their death as like an exit.
right.
So like they're like, okay, I kind of did my thing here, so now I'm gonna
I'm dead.
I'm gonna die without the biggest air quotes.
Yeah.
So it was like, damn, sure did like Bob, and then
then
everybody
move
leaves,
on.
and then Bob's like, all right, fuck it, I'm out of here,
They
and
gone?
then like, and
Are
he
they gone?
dips.
Are they gone? Okay, I'm leaving.
And there's been some major players over the years. So the biggest one in the story, as far as perpetuals are concerned, is Big Daddy E himself.
Yep.
Emperor of Mankind.
Yeah.
Also known as Bob.
Yeah. In other words, that's his real name.
It's his
Not a
real
lot of
name.
people know that. It's Bob.
It's got
always
revealed in
had
the
been.
latest book. It's just Bob.
Through time, it's changed a
Well,
little
I think
bit.
it was probably Robert.
Yeah.
But
No, believe it or not, it's just Bob.
Just
Bob.
Bob.
It's just
No,
Bob.
He was the original Bob.
Yeah, it's changed a couple times. Like during the Roman era, he was Bobicus,
Bobicus.
and
So dumb.
yeah, when he was hanging out in like Northern Asia, he was Baba Khan.
Yeah, exactly. But he was always the Bob. Hey, how you
Actually,
doing?
cousin to Shaka Khan, who was
You're just being dumb. But anyway, yeah. The
So there's
Emperor,
Bob.
The Emperor
still
is,
just Bob.
is the biggest perpetual around. He is still alive, theoretically, in some way.
he's still alive.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yes, yeah, in a sense.
But he's a perpetual, so he's been around. Tracked history, something like 40,000 years. He's
Right.
supposed to go back in the entire timeline. It's supposed to actually be longer than that because we're in the 41st millennium, going from year 0. This is the AD calendar. They're still, for some reason, it's the 41st millennium. We're still using the Gregorian calendar.
Yeah,
It seems to
it's
work. I don't know, but
That's
we're sticking
just
with
what
it.
they've done.
But he was around for like tens of thousands of years before that. So
Right.
we're probably talking more 50, 60,000 years old.
Yeah.
So he's So
has
you get
been in every war,
Yep.
intergalactically and galactically, like on the planet, off the planet, in
Every,
the warp. That,
he's always been a part. He's always been considered of the perpetuals because they all kind of like if you're living for 10,000, 20,000
they're all-
years,
they all
you
seem
kind
to
of
be-
start noticing other people
Yeah.
around at the parties. You know?
Yeah, and they all the natural born ones at least are all warriors or kings or some
They
kind of
kinda
importance.
notice each other, yeah.
And so they've all sort of got this high status at some point. So that's and people are drawn to them and whatnot. The next one would be Erda. She's somebody who's kind of new to the lore. She hasn't been Erda. She hasn't been and the mother of Primarchs because when the Primarch or when the Emperor decided to build his Primarchs, he used her DNA as well.
Yeah.
And she, for a long time, so the Emperor had all these perpetuals around him as he was doing his thing, as he was going through fighting the Techno-Barbarians, doing everything, and then they kind of got sick of his shtick.
Yeah, so the big idea was that when the Emperor was like kind of doing his like deciding like, hey, you know what? I'm like we need to help mankind. I need to guide mankind. The like step one was like trying to get all these perpetuals together and being like, hey, let's all just do this together.
We're better than everybody else.
We're better
kind of
than
thing,
everybody
yeah.
else. We don't fucking die. We've seen a lot of shit.
Yep.
Let's all get together and get this thing going. And a lot of the perpetuals were like, okay,
They all bought into it,
yeah.
and as things went along, either maybe they didn't want to leave Earth, or they didn't want to leave the solar system, or they weren't interested in doing some of the things he was doing.
Or they were like, you're genetically modifying like babies to become
like
super
we weren't
soldiers,
getting
I'm
into
out.
we're not into the Thunder Wars.
There's also
We're
a
not-
couple of them that were literally just like he's too convinced of his rightness,
Right.
And so I just
they
I
were sick
can't
of his
get
ego.
behind that.
Absolutely
Yeah.
sick of
Yeah.
his ego, and that. But Erda stuck around for as long as she possibly could,
Yeah.
until even she couldn't deal with this bullshit.
Yeah.
She wasn't big on the Primarch piece of the things, and she also
She was the one
May
that
or may not
scattered
have-
them. Yeah.
you may or may not have
Theoretically.
caused the thing, and then she took the fuck off.
Look,
Yeah. She bizounced.
Yeah,
caused it or just forgot to lock a door.
Yeah, either or. Yeah.
but the Emperor knew where she was, and he decided to let her go. So maybe there was more to that story as far as did
I'm
they,
like, well, if
did they
it-
have
like-
a thing,
like-
or is she just
Well, we're also finding out more and more as these stories are coming out just how sentimental the Emperor is.
right?
Like in the last book, and he has that library that nobody's alled to go in, and you
Yeah.
go and they open it up. And you
That was
find
one
out
of the
that
things she didn't
it's
fucking
just
like is
his
'cause of the
personal
library.
collection
Yeah.
from the last like
Yeah,
20,000 years,
he has, like-
30,000 years or
He has
whatever.
like every Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the
Big
things that
fan
she
of them.
didn't like. He had this sort of forbidden library, and she
Well, because it was all the
yeah.
knowledge that
You're right.
he was like, no, nobody needs to know any of this because this is all bad.
Yep.
Except for me, I can have it all.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
groovy.
And they weren't all into all this stuff.
Yeah.
So you got her,
And then I think one of the most important one is Alanius Persons. He is by far, I think, is
another guy
1A
that was with the Emperor.
with
knew-
the Emperor,
yeah.
the original OG War Master.
Yeah. And that's what I think the thing is like back when it was like shields and spears and that's how things were getting done, he was the guy that was on the right hand of the Emperor and was the war master and helped guide the armies and was his number one advisor.
And there has been hinted at he's older than the Emperor.
That's what they say. He's
Yeah.
been around because Erda. They say they could trace her as far back as the 20th century,
Yeah, 20th century.
Yeah.
Alanius is even before,
and he talks about that.
and he talks about it. And like this guy has done everything. Like Jason the Argonauts. He
him.
was Jason.
yeah.
Like every like major mythological figure, they're like, oh man, how about this guy? Well, that was me.
Yeah.
I did that. I was the Argonaut. Yeah, I knew the Argonauts.
And
Yeah,
he was
I a
always
part
kind
it.
of the second character. So the big theory is that every major character that pushed history, like Caesar, Jesus, Attila, like
Yeah.
all of these ones, that was all the Emperor.
Well, Jesus was not the Emperor. That is a fact.
Or did they finally just say that?
Well, because Alanius is Catholic.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a lot. Yeah, he is. Yeah. So he's Catholic, and he's the one that goes to Ultramar and is allowed to then.
Yeah. So
He's the only practicing
if
Catholic
Alanius is Catholic,
left.
and then he would recognize Jesus / the Emperor, and he doesn't. So,
So that solves that one.
so that's all.
It's an
that's
interesting-
one
that's
of
a
them.
whole
But
But
other
all the
but
other ones, and
but it's
both
an
good
odd
and
thing.
bad too, because
Yeah.
like the theory is also like that he was Hitler and
Yeah.
that he was like all of this stuff. Every major
Yeah.
character that's popped up and guided,
Yeah,
changed the face of the world.
was either the Emperor or a Perpetual, because they would do proxy wars
Right.
too against each other.
and then but Parsons was always like the Jason of the
Yes.
Argonauts, or like Achilles, or it was
Yeah,
always
he wasn't the king. He was like the best,
but he was always
guy.
the right hand,
Yeah.
or very very close to it, or
Which always shows like the Emperor has these guys gravitating towards him. He always
Yeah.
has a sidekick, Sigilet, in later years.
Yeah,
It was, again,
like I just love the story. Like just to go in, like basically the Emperor and Alanius had their falling out when they like destroyed the Tower of Babel.
Yep.
Like literally, they were fighting. They like, no, we just destroyed the Tower of Babel and everything, and that's when they had their split. Like it's like
and it wasn't even like rowdy. He was just like, I think I'm done.
yeah, Mount.
And,
And for the
Alanius
most
just
part,
did.
that's what it was. They were just like there wasn't this big huge split. It's just like, and the Emperor kind of let them go because he had that sentimental side. Like, all
Well,
right,
the other
fine.
thing, what are you gonna do?
What are you
Yeah.
gonna do? I'm
Yeah, I
like,
know.
but they're also like your buddies, your childhood friends. Like,
They're also
like,
they're-
if you think about it,
it's
like
also
yeah.
your entire peer group.
it's your peer group. You
So,
have nobody else but
You
these
know,
people.
there's like a whopping 7 of you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
you can't
what am I
just
gonna
start,
go-
you just can't start waxing each other, or it's like,
yeah, then what? I'm all by myself.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's not Highlander. Like there can only be one.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Like I get that. I get that a lot.
So he's OG, but then you have some others that are perpetuals that are oot and a boot and working for other
So-
things. One of my favorite perpetuals, Mr. John Grammaticus.
So he's a
Great.
built. He
Yeah.
was built. He's given power. The Cabal allows them. He gives those. And so you have a bunch of these guys that Xenos built
Yeah.
guys, and then eventually Grammaticus is like kind of done being a shithead to my human fucking fellow humans and rebels, but he also is another. I mean, so that's
So
and
what's interesting about that is that he dies
yeah.
and then is brought back one last time.
Like he's
And he
getting
kind of
before
felt it
that-
himself. He was like,
Before that,
this
he
is
could
it.
he could die and come back and die and come back and die and come back. And then that one he like hardcore died, and it was like, ooh, that's the last reboot. That's
Yeah,
Ooh,
he
that's
knows
the
it.
one. I felt that one. I
That
felt that one.
one's, that one's spicy.
Yeah,
I
that
don't,
one was that one hurt a little more than it should have. I think
Yeah.
that's
And
last.
he knows it. And
Yeah.
he's, I mean, as they're going in the second to last book, they're
and he admits it.
Rolling
He's
on,
like,
yeah.
look, he's like, yeah,
I
he's
got one
like,
more in me.
Technically, I don't think I can die from just getting old.
Yeah, but if I put
Like
myself
he's
in
still
harm's way,
like
yeah.
he's still Highlander style immortal,
Yeah.
where it's like he's not going to age out. Like he's
Right.
just going
He's
to
not
be
this
around.
great warrior either. He's got some psychic
No.
abilities, but he's not this
Like,
badass.
he's got some skills.
Well, he's
Based on
what do they call him?
experience.
Yes.
A
A linguistic? Or
no, a lingophile, a linga.
I don't know.
Lingonberry?
He basically his power is that he can hear. It's a psychic power, and he can hear a
Language,
a
any
language,
language,
and understand it,
Standard, yeah.
and can speak it back. So he naturally just is language.
And
Which,
I-
by the way, great fucking skill.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
And I
would-
think it
I would-
actually,
I would
I think it
choke a man for
extends
that.
beyond that too. It's any like audio based communication.
Yeah.
So it's like music and shit too. Like he can hear music and see the pattern in it. Like he can hear all of these things and he can
Yeah.
ID it. So
And then also goes into like IDing people based on their lingual
and
patterns.
they're incredibly small. So he does it when he's dealing with like the Alpha Legion, who pride themselves on you cannot tell one Alpha Legionnaire from another,
Yeah.
and he can go like,
Oh no, you're
"You're not
Bob.
him.
Yeah.
You're Joe."
and it's like what the." And it's like, yeah, he's probably the only one in the galaxy that can
And they do
that.
it, and they
But-
show it in the book. Like he's having a conversation with,
Yeah, and he knows he's a fake.
and he's like, "You're not the
Yeah.
guy." So you've got those guys. Those are the main, and the Sigilite.
And the
definitely
Sigilite is the other.
yeah.
Is
But
the
the
other?
the Sigilite was gifted his.
Was he gifted?
He's gifted his by the Emperor. And
Oh,
it's,
was he?
And it's like,
I didn't know that. I thought he was natural.
it's like perpetual light.
Yeah. Okay. He can still get fucking old.
Well, and that's why he is. So
yeah.
he's like, I've been with my master 10,000 years. And he was like, and even though he has the strength and whatever, I, as an old man, cannot keep up with. So like, he's kind of gifted this perpetual.
But the Sigilite's
Yeah.
also kind of. I mean, he's been hit by a Primarch and dusted himself off, and he's done some stuff.
He has also literally been like, sit down, bitch, and just like had Primarchs that are just like, yeah, you're right. I'm just gonna.
Oh shit.
Fuck
yeah.
off back here, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I'm
you've
just-
got those. So you got those big guys, and Grammaticus is an important figure, and then you've got this sort of secondary tier, this random
Yeah.
Grey Knight who is a perpetual.
We've got Vulcan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Vulcan, but Vulcan's a badass because he's a Primarch. He's also a perpetual. It's kind of like that dual.
And that's another gifted
Yeah.
thing.
Yes.
He's not a.
He was
that is-
built.
That is not a universe decided he was
Yeah.
a perpetual. That he was the only one that was given the gift
Yep.
by Big Daddy E.
Bob.
And Bob gave him the gift. And according to the books, he was given that gift, and it was mentioned in the last book because they knew how steadfast he was going to be. And so he was the only one that would use that gift of perpetual.
He's a Boy
You
Scout
can-
for the Emperor, and
Yeah.
you need
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah.
So
you need that guy.
And so what do you do when you have that guy and as a total Boy Scout for the Emperor? Make it where he can't fucking die.
Yeah,
And then you
It's
fucking
like-
send him
you get
against
to
fucking
keep-
Magnus
yeah.
and fucking have him burn him to death.
Well, and that
on
whole
a
talk about
yeah.
him walking through the webway
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
like being melted down to the bone, and then his bones stand up and re-knit all of his
Yeah,
flesh
just
together,
start
and he
going
just
and
keeps
just like,
walking,
well,
and it's like,
yeah.
holy shit.
It's like a Hellraiser until he fucking comes
Yeah.
walking through the. I think you've seen the first.
So,
Hellraiser.
But I think
So
perpetuals
there's one.
are fascinating.
and then there's new ones that are now popping up because of these books. So there was
Which ones?
the chick that was the
Oh, the one that went to Moloch or whatever.
the one with the blinded.
Yeah.
She was blinded, and now it looks like she's perpetual.
Yep. She's a perpetual.
And then the witch, who's like the
Yeah.
whatever 14th of her name or whatever. And
Yep,
no,
yep,
it's
yep.
like, and so
Yeah, so some of them kind of like they say that like her or whatever, they kind of live for about 10,000 years, and then they're like, all right, I'm
yeah,
passing
they're
this
like
shit
they're
on.
like the Diet Coke of perpetual.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
passing
but
this
there's
on.
a
Like,
couple
I've had
that are
enough.
like, this is what I do. And the big two like natural perpetuals are Big Daddy E and Elanius. Like
Yeah.
they're like the OGs.
Well, and apparently there's some others.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of mentioned in passing.
Yeah.
But they're
Well,
They're
like
gone.
Urda, like it
They're
was a
gone.
kind of a new.
Yeah, Erdo was a newer one.
And then, but she ends up fighting Erebus and splits in like because he's like, fine, you're not going to transform into chaos. He sets demons on her. She splits into 3 people and fights and kills all of them, kills all the demons, and then she's so tired that she ends up getting murdered by the fucking Anathema as
Yeah.
at the end of that.
Unalived.
Yeah.
Just an aggressive unaliving.
So they're an important piece of because it's how the emperor was created and that whole kind of mess. And then now they talk about people who were around before him. So what does that then make the emperor?
Well, I mean, he's a powerful creature,
But he's fallible. He's not. He's
but
not
he's
a
still,
god.
and the thing is that I think what a lot of people is that like he is one of the best lines in that new book was also like he goes forth to fight like the god he isn't.
Yeah.
Which is just a hell of a line,
Yeah.
but like from a book. But I think the importance of that is that even though he has this like ability to look across the stars and can see through time and can cross planes and has this insane amount of power and all this
Still
kind of
makes
stuff,
mistakes.
he is still a man.
Yeah.
And so what happens when you have, even with 40,000 years of experience?
Yeah.
Well, he didn't see Horus. I mean, he gives Horus this incredible amount of power and prestige,
but you're still just a
and
fucking
makes a mistake.
dude.
Yeah, you're still a dude. At
Picks
the,
the
end of
wrong
the day,
fucking guy.
At the end of the day, you
Who
put your
turns
pants
against
on
him, so.
one leg at a time.
Yeah.
Unless the emperor figured out a better way to do it.
Yeah.
Which probably did.
He just jumps off his bed right into the
Best
right?
has him set up.
Well, he throws the pants.
Yeah.
And as they're coming back down, he jumps off the bed and lands
Does
in
a
the
triple
pants.
Lindy
And then
into the-
does a triple Lindy and lands both legs through the pants and on the ground.
Nobody can do the triple Lindy.
The big question is
Bob can. Bob can do the triple
Bob
Lindy.
can do the triple Lindy. Big question: would you want to be a perpetual?
No. God, I think I just get so fucking bored.
No. Oh, absolutely.
Well,
would-
I take
you
that
would?
back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would too.
I've had this
I'm 100%
discussion.
I could just
I've
talk
had this
shit
discussion before.
for millennia.
I've had this discussion before about wanting to be immortal or perpetual or whatever, and I was like, no, absolutely not. Until this last book and hearing about the long journey that Parsons is on with his new Argonauts.
Yeah.
And that they've been on the journey for a month, and yet they've also been on it for 10,000 years, and they've seen they've seen it all, they've been through it all, they've done it all, and at the same time, we're only sent on the mission.
If you're not a
couple days
psychic, but
before
your
that.
ability because of your experience can be like, I know exactly what you're going to do, especially in a combat situation. Like, I've seen it all. I've seen this a million times, and it's this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to, and then you're right. You're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess if I could be a perpetual where I also learned the knowledge that I wasn't just going to be stuck, like on Earth forever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Then-
other thing, too.
Cool. But, I don't give a fuck if shit's going to change or not. Eventually, you're going to get to the point where, oh, look at that. It's shinier, but it's the same shit we were doing 100 years ago.
Right,
And it's going to be the same shit we're doing a fucking 1,000 years from now. And, if it's going to be that, where now you're just stuck in this, millennium long fucking Groundhog's Day, then nah, I'm all set. I don't
Eventually,
I
we'll
can
get
see
off
that.
this planet just like they
right.
did. So,
But if it is the whole you can get off the planet, or you figure out how to change realms of existence, and you're able to travel in these alternate places and all this kind of stuff, to where you could keep having new experiences,
That sounds pretty dope.
then sure. But if it's you get to be perpetual, but
Yeah, Earth is it.
because you know what we're gonna do even if we get off
know
this
what?
planet,
You-
we're gonna
you-
go to another planet. And we're gonna make it look just like this one. It's just gonna be 2.0. We're not gonna do anything creative.
Well,
we're
I
just
mean,
gonna
it's-
feel
it's-
Go, you could be a perpetual, but you have to stay in San Antonio.
I'm dumb.
well, Keanu Reeves
Go past
yeah.
1604.
No, I'm
So
gassed.
Keanu Reeves has got this comic book and it's Berserker, and he's
Good book.
His character in it is this warrior that can't die, even if he gets cut to fucking pieces, can't die. So when it finally gets to our timeline, he's working with the U.S. military special operations guys because the U.S. government has said we will help figure a way to kill you if you do these missions. And they're like, yeah, I don't know how they're not really working too hard on
Yeah,
that end.
they're
Because
just like,
he'll just
okay.
go in and clean house with fucking whatever.
That
So
sounds like that movie, The Old Guard, too.
yeah.
Where that was
yeah.
the 4 or 5 of them that are
Yeah, we don't die.
we can't die,
Yeah.
so they just go in and fix problems for different governments and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
yeah. It's not the worst way
So,
to do it, too.
or like Highlander.
Yeah,
If we
Highlander.
ever get around to
Yeah. That's what we need.
Harry
But the
Cavill.
movie or the
Sword,
show?
Just running around.
Well, the movie. The show was the show.
Where you have a Scottish Spaniard.
Well, he was a
Shockertruck.
French Spaniard. You had a French Scotsman and a
Yeah, Sean Connery's Scottish.
Yeah,
buddy,
Sean
and he
Connery.
definitely
and then
played
Scottish
a
and
Spaniard
he
in that
plays a
movie.
fucking and then you have a Spanish Scotsman.
Yeah,
Yes.
he was a Spanish. He was a Spanish.
Juan
Scotsman.
Villalobos
He
Ramirez.
was a Russian Scottish sea captain,
Submariner.
submariner.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, don't forget that one. You
Listen
know.
to their rock and roll. I wish I could do a fucking Sean Connery, but I can't.
It's a
And
great
do
one.
missile drills.
Yeah. But anyway, that's Perpetuals.
One ping.
rough.
One
Just
ping.
the way your mother likes it.
One ping only.
If you will, one ping.
Yeah, there you go. That was
awful,
better.
that
That's one. All right.
Sure is awful that I had an extra 6-pack of beer.
Hey, can I get one of those?
Hey, look, I got this for you.
Oh, well, I found it.
If it's not Crisis, I don't want it.
So have you guys been starting to listen to the new Lion book?
I know because we've been sort of busy. So I haven't gotten a
guys
chance
have
to download it and stuff yet. I did see that it's out, but I haven't downloaded it yet because I am going to do the
So,
audio.
I'm
book.
Don't you
do
fucking
some-
say a word, son.
I'm not spoilering anything.
Oh, I know you want to.
Oh,
I can
want
see
to
it on
so
your
bad.
face.
Ooh.
So-
I said nice things about your beer.
The big question is now. Oh, look what we found you, Jim.
Thanks, buddy.
Look
Look at that.
Look at that. You asked
Fuck. If I was a perpetual, this shit would be constantly. I would bathe in
just
it.
on tap. Just
on tap. You would have to make me a perpetual. Be like, Jim, make that shit again. It's like,
No, this is the
done.
19,000th time I've made your sweet fucking cookie bear.
I can't believe he likes it.
But what I was about to say is, Lion in that book waxes about missing Russ several times.
Why? Because Russ is right.
Well,
It's not time yet.
It's not time.
It's
yet, but-
almost time.
It's almost time. But I'm like, they
really?
they are starting to talk about
Now,
Russ.
I
This
am
is
gonna
how
go
they
back-
do it, though. The slow
yeah.
drip, drip.
That's
I am
the
going
way
to go
they
back
do it.
to.
I miss my guy. He's
to
so
somebody
fuzzy.
though that we talked about in the very beginning of this show,
Uh-huh.
and things that we were excited about and then upset with, and da 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 da. So I think it's June 29th. I think is the day.
Yeah.
The last season of Cavill's Witcher
Yep.
releases.
So the trailer's out.
Yeah.
It looks
And it
it's
looks
dark,
phenomenal.
much
Does it
much
look good?
darker. Yeah, it's much darker.
Well, they
Okay.
needed to because now, like, you know, his
I
his
didn't-
pet now has her powers and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So, it's gonna get very very dark.
It's the most combat heavy one too,
but
based
it's
on the books. I
yeah.
It's
guess.
the
Yeah.
last season of Henry Cavill's The Witcher.
Yeah,
Have you guys heard anything about the Warhammer stuff yet?
I think he's
I heard
doing
it's
it-
all on hold now.
yeah.
Why is it
yeah.
on hold?
Too many content adjustments, so he may not agree to be part of it.
What?
Yeah.
When
now,
did that happen?
what I don't understand is you want a fan base that you absolutely positively cannot go in and fuck around with the story.
Welcome to Warhammer.
It's the Warhammer people.
yeah.
But
Don't-
to make it palatable for the masses, you
Needs
can
more
water it
titties.
down a little bit without changing the substance.
Mhm.
And I think that's probably where they're at. Is they're trying to fucking say
They're trying to find
there
that middle
has to be a
ground.
fucking happy medium. There just has to be.
Why?
It is a very because you've only got a finite
It's an
amount of
inde-
people,
it's a
but you want to make
debt
money,
war.
dude. Look what they did to fucking. I mean, they've done it. We will have to do a whole other podcast
Because
on how they-
Dread is nothing more than Necromunda.
But if you look at the first
And that
Dread
movie
movie
was
was
phenomenal.
dreadful. The
Not-
second movie was fucking
was
phenomenal
awesome.
because the people
Dreadful.
you had people who were invested in the IP,
Yeah.
and you took a small story. So all you had is a building. You took the movie The Raid and
Yeah.
made it.
But that's
That-
exactly what
with-
we
yeah.
talked about they need to do with Warhammer. Don't give me the universe. You need to pick like a fucking dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just following that guy.
Yeah.
And it's just that guy's
And then
path.
bring
It should
stuff
be like
in
an
now and
arbiter,
then.
like
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
something
because
like
there
that.
is no hero.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
even with like The Witcher, where like you have Gerald and we're just following that fucking dude.
Yeah.
And like, but he's also the title character, so we're just gonna follow that guy.
Yeah.
You can't do that with Warhammer
No.
because you just have to pick a dude, and it's like we're just gonna follow this guy, and we're
And
gonna
a
bring in other
job too,
stories,
like whatever
and-
his job is, and keep it tight. Like when we've
it
talked
tight.
about whether it's
You gotta keep it
Eisenhower,
tight.
Gaunt,
or
those
some,
guys,
even
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Just give us another Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you don't
it
want
doesn't have
to, if
be
you don't
one-
want to follow something verbatim, then cool. Just pick another Inquisitor.
Yeah.
or
Just follow
make one
that
up.
dude.
Make one up.
Yep.
And then just add the lore in, the important lore in as you
slowly,
go. Yeah.
slowly as you can. I'm like everyone's all the way in on Blade Runner. I mean, like Blade Runner and 40K ain't that kind of real far apart.
There's some cyberpunkiness.
yeah,
to,
there's a
to
little bit,
40K.
especially visually. There is.
Well, look how awesome the fucking
They're
Riddick
coming out with a
movies are.
Yeah.
cyberpunk or a Blade Runner TV show. So
No, they're doing
Yeah, I'm
that.
in for that one.
and Aliens.
But
Aliens,
so
yeah.
the Witcher show's coming.
Yeah,
Final season because he's not coming back because they wanted to change the writing and he was like,
And he
I
doesn't
don't-
like those fucking guys.
I don't do this.
Yep.
wait, didn't they hire that other fucking guy to come on? One of the Hemsworths.
No, the next season.
But
so they had
I
to
think
shut
they're
it.
supposed to roll the story back or something. So it's supposed to go like
Like
pre
Witcher pre-training. Like Witcher training.
Well, they did they tried it. There's that other show,
And that show didn't do well at all.
No.
It was bad.
but there's like earlier Witchers, because the Witcher is actually a job. Like
Yeah.
it's like you are a Witcher,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
but you're
it's
not
like
the
being a
only
plumber.
one. You're like it's a job.
it's a job.
It's a,
They got a
it's just a
union.
job.
You got union wages.
Yeah, I need you to drink some sketchy shit, and then
Yeah.
Go kill monsters.
Go,
Go-
kill monsters.
go
but
kill
you
monsters.
get paid,
yeah.
and you only work
Well,
from Monday
If you want to know
through
where
Friday.
Terminals came from, this is it.
This
This
is
is how it started. Well, I mean, they've decided to do a D&D TV show.
Yeah,
So-
you're really excited.
Yeah, so
Has
that's
anybody-
happening.
Yeah, go ahead.
And they're pouring money into all this stuff.
They are. I mean, well, we're getting the full Harry Potter reboot too, which is
And I guess it's going to be but they're going to drag the books out like 12 episodes.
it's supposed to be one season per book.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be 7 seasons.
I know
Do the
what
whole
happens.
book. Yeah, it's not like we're getting a new story.
Yeah, I know what happens. I got it. Thank
so-
you.
As long as J.K. Rowling is going to be involved, so I mean, you're getting. I just want the people.
So it's
who
either
write
going
the
to
books-
change everything, or it's going to be pure bigotry from front to back.
Yeah,
Like it's
no
there's literally-
trans people.
Yeah,
There's
it's
definitely won't be trans people.
yeah. So she's either going to essentially been like, "This is how I would write them if I wrote them today," and we're getting all new books,
Mhm.
or
Well, I mean,
it's.
I mean,
it may just also stay super faithful, which I
it's
think will
going to
make
be
everybody
great because you
happy.
got all these little kids. No, you got all these sort of Gen Y, Z, whatever the fucks, who are now going to experience what I experienced when you redo one of my fucking seminal favorite movies, whatever it is, whether it's everything that they've rebooted,
Uh-huh.
and they fuck it all up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly why we're pissed.
Yeah. Very rarely do they get
Don't
it right.
shit on my childhood,
Like-
guy.
Yeah.
They rebooted Dune. It was awesome.
Oh, that was good.
Way better.
No,
than
this
the
is good
original.
though. But the new Doom movie was good.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I
Way
can't-
better
I'm
than
really
the
excited
original.
about Dune 2.
But it's so rare that they take an IP that was done, that was so loved, and redo it.
But
that
they
ever
followed
make
the
it
original
better.
book, which was
Yeah.
very difficult to do.
Dune is
And
actually
they did it
extremely
right.
accurate.
Yeah, I'll
They
watch
did
that
it
part
very-
where
it's
just,
very,
like,
very
Sarah
difficult.
Connor scene
Dune is
of, like,
great.
And I
Yeah.
love I love the 84 movie, but it's
Yeah.
that's that thing. It is not.
It's also the same guy that did Twin Peaks and
well,
Yeah.
fucking,
Fire Walk with Me.
yeah.
David Lynch is fucking
Lynch
crazy.
is
but he's
psycho.
fucking he is so. But if you listen to and I, like because I love the movie, you get into like the backstory. They wouldn't allow him, even with the massive budgets that he had, to kind of get into. Like they had to make compromises,
Yeah.
and the movie was still not the average. I mean, my mom, we had a snow day when I saw that movie in the theaters. We laughed at the birth scene. She's like, "All right, I'm done." Like the Alia birth scene where you're seeing her.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Fucking like
That's a
it's a lot for a fucking 11 or 12, however old I was when that movie came out. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
But and then they've also cast, as good as that cast was, or who they had. The cast now is really they've done
Yeah.
a really.
It's
good
far
job.
better. Everything's better. Well, I mean,
The
honestly,
trailer should be hitting next week. It's
Some
already
of
hit.
these-
Is it really?
The
Yeah,
trailer's
yeah.
out, but because there's it's not Gen Con, but there's some big fucking movie. So all the trailers for all this stuff have been released. People are seeing them, but you
Yeah.
have to go to the
so
whatever
because
con is.
it's in
Something's-
post production right now.
Yeah.
So it's been filmed.
Yeah.
It's just
The-
we're waiting for
okay.
the editing.
Yeah.
And they say it's like fucking way more action. It's a war movie. It's
Well, but the
epic.
second half of that book is.
Yeah,
the
it's a
second
war
half of that
movie.
book is a war.
Yeah.
Or like literally
Yeah,
a war.
so-
No, I'm really excited about that. I'm
super excited about that coming down the pipe. So it's cool that can be done.
Yeah.
And
You're getting a
honestly,
TV show for that too.
They're doing Dune.
So they're doing
show?
the
Excuse me, just a minute.
the women the yeah.
Talk
so-
amongst yourselves.
So
Go
you're
down to
getting
the Roanoke Islands.
the witches.
The
Bene Gesserit. So
yeah.
it's called Sisterhood.
Oh,
And,
really?
yeah, and it's going to take place almost like 2,000 or 3,000 years before. So it's the formation of the Sisterhood.
Right.
And you get some fairly big names. They did have some issues with the direct, showrunner left, so it got delayed a little bit. But that one is supposed to be going ahead.
No, I'm in with that.
And they're trying to jump in on. I've read all the Dune novels. I love them all. I read the comic books. Like I know more about Dune than I do about Warhammer by far.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
by
when
far.
Dune comes out, we're gonna do a Dune.
Yeah.
When Dune 2 comes
Dune,
out,
yeah.
we're gonna be
Yeah.
we're gonna do a mystery science.
I mean,
theater
I've been so
watch
psyched.
party.
The one thing, because you get the guy, Herbert's son wrote a series of books. People got whatever.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
good. I fucking love them because
Really?
you're getting more content. The one thing though, I like the Sardaukar. Like, why don't I get a Sardaukar novel? At least in the movie, we got to see their home planet,
yeah, which was the most badass.
It was
scene
fucking
ever.
cool. It's like it's like these Viking fucking throat fucking singing fucking Mongolian. It was like this mashup, and there's blood fucking. It was like, yes, that's how they are. They're fucking batshit. That's exactly how they are.
No, I love the IP. The Dune IP is great. Like, I've read the first book, but I've just never really kind of gotten into it. But I will watch.
I've read them all
everything that
multiple
comes in.
times
Really?
too. Yeah.
That's your jam.
I fucking love them, man. It's seminal science fiction. The first time I read them, I was a little kid. It was like maybe about a year after the movie came out, so it was kind of tough. Reading it the second time, I just burned through it. I'm like, all right, now I can kind of suck this all down. But they've done such a good job with the characters, and like so, Fade, instead of being Sting,
Fade Ralpha.
It's
Sting with
Elvis.
the bulge. Yes.
And I guess he's bald in it and stuff, and bald and
really?
jacked. Like I guess they shaved his head, or he's wearing a thing. So the character doesn't necessarily look like that. I think he probably resembled more like a more jacked Sting. Like he had long hair and he was but he was a fucking badass fighter.
Yeah,
and he was a fucking pit fighter. So I guess
and
so.
then,
He's in the trailer, and I can't. And then
well, I loved what's his face in it, the wrestler. Dave Bautista.
David, he's a fucking person.
He was perfect. He was a perfect casting.
Yeah.
You know, and as much as I hate Timothy Chalamet the Ding Dong.
He's good in it. Like
he's good in it.
He's Paul. Like
he's a little bitch.
What's his face was a little
older.
Bitch.
Yeah.
In the '84 movie, he was much older than he was. Paul is like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, he's 14 years old, and he's a kid. Like, he's a teenager.
He's supposed to be like in the and
that was
part. That was what Herbert wanted to do. She wanted to show him growing up and whatnot. In a combat situation, and he becomes this great warrior. But Dune is, if there wasn't a Dune, we wouldn't have some of the things and some of the ideas and some of the ways how deep people get into the lore and the mythology of their stories.
Yeah.
You can look at what Frank Herbert did and say, okay, he got so deep into stuff and had such backstories for the most minute things. So anyway, that's our Dune.
Yeah, no,
quick
I'm
gloss over.
I'm excited. I'm excited about the new. Like, well, the first movie was great, so I'm really excited about.
I mean, the last 10 years have been like sort of the golden age of TV. As much as they want to say, it was like the 60s. It's now especially for genre television. You're getting everything. Whether you get an Aliens TV show, you may get. So you talked about Dave Bautista. They're trying to do a Gears of War. Is in like a pre-development because
I don't understand how Gears of War has such a hard green light and Warhammer isn't. When obviously, like everything from Gears of War was stolen straight out of the Warhammer
it's like
universe.
fighting Tyranids.
Yeah. With chainswords.
With chainswords.
Yeah. No,
Like-
I know.
Yeah.
Probably because it's
a video game.
It's a video game and it's easier to freaking do. But you're gonna see that. I mean, with the success of Halo, as much as people are bitching about that, Halo looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Like they fucking look like the goddamn Master Chief looks like Master Chief.
I haven't watched a second of that Halo show.
It's
at all.
fucking good. Like
Really?
as far as how well done it is, it's a good show, and I like Pablo Schreiber anyway.
Yeah,
I mean he's been good since The Wire.
Yep.
But and
Did you watch Cocaine Bear yet?
No, I really
it's
need to.
streaming on Peacock for free. You son of a bitch.
I have it. You know what's fucking bad? Conversely, the 65 with once the kid from Star Wars.
Yeah, you said that was bad.
It was fucking awful.
Yeah.
That
I
was
want to
You mean
like
Adam
him.
Driver.
Yeah,
I want to
it
like
goes
Adam
up.
Driver because he was a fucking
Best description
machine
I've
gunner
heard
in
of
the
that so
Marines
far-
or fucking he was like
Best,
he was
best
0361.
description
I
I
think.
heard of that so far was it's shitty Turok.
It's so
Oh.
bad, and he doesn't want it to be
Oh,
bad.
it's
Like,
shitty of a shitty
and I
movie.
know why he took the role because he's taken some roles where he can't do. But I think he wants a role where he's a fucking Marine, and this was the closest because he was a fucking Marine. Like you can tell he wants to go do a war movie or something like that because he got fucked out of going to fucking Iraq with his boys. So he wants to do something. And why nobody's cast him in?
Yeah, he's
Because
he's
so
kind
far,
of doing that thing.
because
that's
for the
like-
last 15 years of his acting career, he's been the emo boy.
I know,
Yeah.
And nobody's going to cast him as a hard ass.
but
Yeah, he's
does-
watching so many.
But he was hard.
He's watching so many movies of them like not handling weapons.
wasn't even
correctly,
like-
and he's like, "Come on!"
It wasn't even like he was like pussy like some admin dude. He was a fucking like infantry dude that got hurt on like pre-deployment and then couldn't fucking deploy.
Yeah.
So like you got like
He did.
I
He
get
did what he could do afterwards.
yeah.
So,
So,
well,
all right. Well, we got the high sign.
Oh,
We'll
not
see how it
everybody.
goes.
Not everybody
So-
knows everything about everything. But
I do
anyway.
know one thing.
Well, I do. I know another thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you know? What do you know, Jeff? What do you know? Jeff?
Well, I know the lion knows that Russ was right.
There's literally a part where he says like,
Does he wanna hug him?
I miss my friend, or like something like that.
Did everybody have faint? Did they all like? Who is this fucking guy?
Yeah,
that
he was
says he's the lion.
He basically is like talking to him like a pissed off brother, where he was like, oh man, like even I will miss Russ and his boisterous ways, and it's something like that. I'm just like,
Who the fuck
Russ
are
is
you?
coming back.
Yeah.
Russ is coming back. Russ is on his way.
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Anyways, go find Second Pitch Beer Company on all the social medias.
Don't drink
And,
all their fucking good
give 'em a like.
crisis because it's mine.
Because they're decent people.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I try to be a good person.
Well,
Yeah, most of the time. Some of the time.
I
At least on
I
paper.
try try is like I try to eat salads. You know, I try to.
Nobody
be a good
likes
person. I try to-
salad.
yeah, and nobody likes to be a good person either.
I know.
I like it on top of my cheeseburger.
Yeah.
So you
One
that's called
piece of
lettuce and
lettuce.
tomato and mayonnaise.
What's in a salad?
That's tomato and mayonnaise.
And literally mayonnaise on the front of it says salad dressing.
Yeah. All right, let's go eat some salad.
Anyways, go check out that, and then battlepub.com, or come on down to the store and have a drink with us and get nerdy. In the meantime, go find some games, drinks, and hijinks, and yeah, leave us comments and suggestions.
But if you know what's good for you, don't drink all my fucking crisis.
Yeah, Big Jim will find
it's,
you.
it's very good.
It's so good.
Yeah, if you find this ginormous person standing behind you at the bar while you're drinking the crisis,
Breathing
you know who
heavy.
that
Just
is.
pass your drink back.
Yeah,
just.
just
I got this for you. I'm sorry.
I take 10% right off the top.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.